Hello, I'm Sabrina Waynorth. I'm a psychotherapist at sabrinawaynorth.com. This is a video about how to build really solid self-esteem. So the real stuff as opposed to the superficial stuff that looks good on the outside but easily crumbles on the inside. So let's first look at how we usually try and go about building self-esteem and why it's a strategy that just doesn't work. I think we typically think the answer to solid self-esteem is just to try harder, achieve more, look better, lose weight. I think we think if we're more successful on the outside or find the right career or even our true calling, we'll feel more confident on the inside. And I think the answer is yes and no. I do think achieving certain goals can create a type of confidence or a type of high, a sense of having value or achieved something. But usually those feelings are relatively superficial and relatively short-lived. So the next time we feel rejected or get criticised or make a mistake or compare ourselves to others, that same anxiety or worry about being inadequate or not living up to expectations or somehow falling behind or not belonging, they can start all over again. So I've worked with people who are, incredibly successful or incredibly beautiful, and it truly hasn't shifted how they felt about themselves on a deeper level. So how to build self-esteem in a way that works? Well, if you could take a snapshot internally of yourself when you're feeling at your most insecure or your most worthless or your most inept, or even your most hopeless, you'd probably see one of two things happening. Either in your head, there's a very negative or critical voice in there that's judging you as inadequate or stupid or fat or ugly or lazy or a loser, whatever it happens to be. And this, by the way, is usually an internalized parental voice, so it's rarely recognized as that. It'll just sound like you. Or there's a complete absence of any kind of internal parental voice. It's like there's no adult in the picture. The only person around is a much younger version of you, so maybe 8 years old or maybe 13. But basically a kid who's completely overwhelmed and flooded. So there'll just be a wall of fear or panic or despair or shame with very little ability to process any of those states. In both cases, what's obviously missing is a much older, wiser, rational, kind parental voice saying, it's okay, let's take this a step at a time, we can figure it out, you're doing really well, don't panic, you're not alone. So a voice that pops into your head and goes, we can breathe through this, we can feel these feelings, I'm right here for you, I'm really proud of you, keep on going. So the most transformative thing you can do to build really solid self-esteem is to internalize a kind, loving, parental voice. Now, how to do that, especially if you didn't get it first time around in your childhood? I think it's a matter of becoming really aware of that younger version of you inside of yourself. Just that feels inadequate or not enough. And then really starting to speak to that part of yourself in your head and reassuring him or her that they're okay. And yes, this can absolutely feel a little bit awkward or forced at the beginning, but if you can keep practicing, you'll really reap the rewards. And if you can really picture that younger, overwhelmed, frightened version of yourself, you'll soon realize that you would never speak to an 8-year-old or a 12-year-old in the way that you've been speaking to them or to yourself. And bear in mind that younger version of you, which is sometimes called the inner child, might be a sweet 7 or 8-year-old kid who's like cute and adorable but quite frightened. But that younger version of you may also be more the 13, 14-year-old kind of gawky or overweight, pimply teenager who's unpopular and that you feel ashamed of, and the first instinct is to kind of reject them. Either way, your job is to befriend him or her and reassure them that they're okay and they're not alone. So practically it looks something like literally saying to yourself, hey kiddo, I always say kiddo for some reason, but you don't have to. I'm really proud of you for showing up to this, keep on going, let's just take this next little step. And you really want to emphasize, I'm here for you and I'm not going to leave you no matter what. Because I think the key is a refusal to abandon yourself. That's basically it. what usually makes difficult external situations where we're being rejected so much worse on the inside is that on top of any external rejection or abandonment, we also abandon and reject ourselves. And if you can just not reject yourself in those moments, I guarantee you they become so much easier to handle. So let's take a situation where your boyfriend or girlfriend breaks up with you, or somebody says or implies something negative about whether it's your looks or abilities. And that voice just is trained to kick right in where it's okay, I'm not leaving you, I'm right here, you're doing great. Or you might have just failed at something, and instead of just falling into shame, that kind parental voice pops up. It's okay, kiddo, you're doing what you can. What's the next obvious step we can take to handle this situation? It's going to be okay. You really want to channel the energy of a fierce lioness here. So, where it's like, come hell or high water, I'm sticking with this kid, no matter if she's inept, no matter if she's unpopular, no matter if she's fat, no matter if she fails, like, I'm not leaving. And obviously it takes training to build up both the voice and that kind of energy. But if you can practice, you realize you can build the most amazing support system inside your very own head. That's obviously accessible at any time. And through it, you can start to build a self-esteem or a kind of unconditional love or confidence that's not based on performance or success. I think it's really the realization that you're valuable, even or particularly when you're failing or at your least brilliant. That's the breakthrough that leads to like really solid self-esteem. And I think the byproduct to feeling internally supported or loved no matter how you do is that there's a decrease in tension and pressure, which means you get to relax more, which means things typically flow more, and so you are actually more likely to be outwardly successful anyway. Except this time your self-esteem isn't kind of built on a deck of cards that can be swept away by the next gust of wind. So I do hope this was helpful. If it was, do subscribe to my YouTube videos and sign up for my monthly blog posts at sabrinawaynard.com. Thanks so much.